5 o'clock in Pirate Country, and it's time to get pumped up with the P-Man. Hit the door and hit the road. 94.3 The Game is going to get you home, and the P-Man's not holding back.
Yes! Yes! Pirates win! Pirates win!
Bring on the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Holy mackerel! Oh, my goodness!
The flagship station of the ECU Pirates.
All right, boy, the rain wreaking havoc from Debbie, but it looks like this thing may not be quite as bad as we thought. A little bit of steam and starch out of the sails, but still, it is a tropical system, and you have to respect that. If you get caught under one of those like tropical downpours, all politics are local there. It's not a lot of fun. Welcome in, Patrick Johnson, Philip the Ref Pilkington here on a day where we're going to talk golf with Brian Mull coming up. Of course, we have Sedgefield and the Wyndham Championship getting underway tomorrow, so we'll maybe place some bets with Brian. And AEW tonight, All Elite Wrestling is originating its Dynamite program from the Joel Coliseum in Winston-Salem, 8 o'clock on TBS. And we're going to talk to Kris Statlander from AEW about that card and about the company. They have their big pay-per-view coming up all in later this month from Wembley Stadium in the UK. Last year, they set a record for tickets sold at an outdoor wrestling event. So we'll see about that coming up. Philip the Ref Pilkington is here, Little League softball, and we'll update that on our social media as we need to with the changes that they're making to the schedule. But obviously the Brain Trust is meeting, and they're still hopeful they'll be able to play some games today. We will see, but boy, it's a tough thing right now, Pilk. A couple of other things in the news. It was announced that ECU will honor its 1999 Conference USA title team and in football during the UTSA game. So that's pretty cool. And that is coming up during the UTS game in late September.
September the 28th.
Yep, September the 28th. So that's a big deal. ECU track and field has hired a new head coach. Virgil Givens will be the new head man. So he will be joining us, I think, early next week. We'll have him on, is what it looks like now. And our friend Stephen Igo, who starts Hoist the Colors Radio back on Monday at noon here on 94.3 The Game, will or has out right now for Hoist the Colors his projected two deeps. That'll change, of course, after the scrimmage coming up on Saturday. So all of that. I think we've covered the bases pretty well, Pilk. You're doing all right? How are you?
I'm good. Just hanging out, watching the Olympics. Wish I got a little more vitamin D today. This little dreary weather's kind of getting old. But other than that, I'm pretty good. How about you, Patrick?
I'm doing well, and life is good, as you know. I want to invite everybody. I got on the scales actually this afternoon, Pilk. Didn't do the morning weigh-in. I didn't sleep well last night. So did an afternoon weigh-in, early afternoon, and was down another couple of pounds with East Carolina weight loss, according to the scale they give me. And so I want to let people know about their summer special, East Carolina Weight Loss Open House. It's taking place on Tuesday. That'll be the 13th from 5 until 7. Dr. Keene and his tremendous team there at EC Weight Loss off of Red Banks Road in Greenville will be there. Our own John Moore will be part of the local celebrities that'll be there that, of course, have gone through the program to great success. I'm going to try to pop in after the PJ show, and we'll see if I can work that out in the schedule, and we'll find out more, as you can find out more about this life-changing program. You can save money, too. $500 off their most popular program during the event. There'll be food. There'll be fun. There'll be door prizes. The food, by the way, will be program conscious. And you can go to EastCarolinaWeightLoss.com to sign up now to register for the free event. No obligation. Go hear them out. You get to hear some great success stories. And let me see what this number would be, Pilk. today if what I checked in on the scale is the case. So, yeah, it's still well over 60 pounds. So there you go. Over 60 lbs, Pilk, down with East Carolina weight loss. How about that?
Hey, you were looking good yesterday when you were in the studio. I am buying you a new wardrobe for Christmas. Well, if I had the money, I would.
Yeah, I've got to get. I've already got some. I've started to tentatively place some orders for some new clothes, so I don't look like I'm wearing hand-me-downs. Well, yeah, I wear some of that stuff, and I think, gosh, this fit a little differently at one time. That's sort of embarrassing, but this has been a life-changing thing with East Carolina weight loss, and still pushing through, and still have some mini goals to achieve here over the next couple of months with it because it's been so successful. All right, let's hit a break, Pilk. We got a busy show. Brian Mull's going to be with us. We'll talk about Scotty Scheffler's tremendous win in the Olympics for gold, and we'll get a preview and some picks for Sedgefield and the Wyndham Championship. And later in the program, AEW wrestler Kris Statlander ahead of Dynamite on TBS tonight. AEW Dynamite in Winston-Salem. Stay with us.
Sometimes you just don't know if you want to kiss him or slap him.
Ow!
Either way, he'd probably like it. The Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
We got Brian Mull with us, golf writer at BG Mull on the X, formerly known as the Twitter, as everybody likes to say now. It is rainy, obviously, in North Carolina, and we'll see how that will factor into things at Sedgefield, where the Wyndham Championship is being contested this week. But as we bring in Brian Mull from the soggy Port City, Wilmington, America, we say hello to him. Brian, first of all, just a weather report. Put your weather umbrella up and give us an idea of what's going on down in southeastern North Carolina as far as Debbie goes.
Yeah, it's been very annoying since really
Is that the
Monday
technical
night.
term?
I mean,
That's the scientific term, isn't it, to describe it?
nothing
Annoying, yes.
dangerous or hazardous to my knowledge to this point. We had a couple of tornado watches that I think expired without anything more than just the warning itself. It's been raining off and on. In the last hour or two, I've seen a little glimpse of blue sky, and it feels like maybe we're on the backside of this and, avoided the prolonged flooding rain event that they were anticipating, at least here in town. And the other reports are pretty good. So I think maybe a little better than they anticipated. I think we'll end up with 6 or 8 inches of rain when it's all said and done. And the good news is we've been in a bit of a dry year, so we can handle it.
Brian Mull has caddied a couple of times on the PGA Tour, so we'll get into some questions about that when it comes to weather like this. We'll handicap Sedgefield, where Brian and I have broadcast the show from previously, the Wyndham Championships. But let's maybe talk a little bit about just the overall local scene as far as grounds crews. You have a lot of rain on these golf courses. By and large, are they thirsty for rain? Are they able to take this rain? I know we have hundreds. This is a blanket statement over our listing area, but when you're dealing with that, as someone who's part of the head grounds guy, that's got to be a challenge. And then, with all of this rain that we have had in the last month, that we're gonna have with this event when it's all said and done, how do you make the decisions to let members, or if of course it allows public play, just anybody on to play? Obviously, you don't want to damage your asset during a time of year where people still want to get out.
Yeah, it's a tricky balance. I think most courses are probably welcoming the rain and hoping the high winds stay away. Certainly, that's when you start to get into potential trees falling, damaging the golf course, and not to mention the man hours required to pick up all the debris or maybe rebuild the bunkers in certain situations. So I would say, obviously we're right at the tip of the tropical season, so this is probably something they're going to have to deal with going forward. But I would think most golf courses will be back up and running by the weekend. Certainly wanting to cash in on that weekend revenue. I have heard one report of a golf course here in the Wilmington area where the irrigation system got struck by lightning, and most of those things are operated via iPad, tablet, computer, and that was obviously not communicating as well. So that's unfortunate. For the guys I know in that job, in that profession, it's just always, they're always dealing with Mother Nature and at the whim, and fighting a losing battle, and trying to adjust in that way, and probably, not sleeping quite as well as they'd like to, just hoping for the best and expecting the worst in some cases. But yeah, I think the rain is good in the big picture. Like I said, we haven't had any just torrential 3 and 4 or 5 inch days of rain yet. It doesn't feel like.
Brian Mull, golf writer, on with us. Brian, when you look at last week's Olympic finish, anybody who wants to make this a team event is extremely short-sighted. But as short-sighted as golf decision makers are at that level now, I fully expect it to be in play in 4 years, because that was tremendous theater coming down the stretch on Sunday.
Thrilling. You couldn't have asked for any better based on who was there. And in that, you had a good chunk of the top 10 players of the world, certainly many of the hottest players in the world. And it really covered every narrative. John Rahm trying to salvage what's been a lost season for the most part, and win a gold medal for himself and for Spain. And, Xander Schauffele and Scotty Scheffler both trying to stake their claim to who's been the player of the year, which was a kind of a given that was Scheffler most of the year. But after Schauffele won the Open Championship, a lot of people felt like he deserved it. And then Rory still trying to bounce back from the devastation of his final hour in Pinehurst and his issues in his personal life, away from the golf course. And, you even had, Victor Perez, who's the home, the native son there, making a charge towards the medal. Tommy Fleetwood, the perennial silver medalist, winning another silver medal. So it checked all the boxes. And then I don't think anyone could have anticipated John Rahm shooting 39 on the back, the inward 9 on Sunday, while Scotty Scheffler was shooting 29 to just rip the gold medal off his neck and confirm his position as the number 1 golfer in the world.
Is he the player of the year? I mean, does this gold medal factor in for Scotty? Because, I mean, to me, even though you got Schauffele with the 2 majors, this looked like vintage Scotty Scheffler last Sunday.
Yeah, I think he ended the conversation. I mean, now if Schauffele were to win twice in the FedEx Cup in the coming weeks, win 2 of the 3 events and win the whole thing, maybe it reopens the conversation. But I mean, Scotty has won 7 times since February, and he has won against elite fields in every situation. He's won a major. He won Jack's tournament. He won the Players. Now he's won the Olympic gold. That I just can't overlook that. As great as Schauffele's year, yeah. I mean, look, 2 majors will get it done more years than not, and it's a significant accomplishment. But all the tournaments have to count somewhat, and I think we've seen a historic year from Scott Scheffler. If the only things that have stopped him are having his chaplain caddy for him and a day in jail.
Brandel Chambly called this by John Rahm kind of a historic collapse, epic proportions, likened it to Rory. Interesting. Is that what do you think about that? I mean, do you agree? 39 on the inward 9 is pretty rough.
100% agree. I mean, John Rahm's a 2-time major champion, number 1 player in the world just a year or so ago. He's the top, probably top 8 at worst, top 6 player in the world right now, even with having a difficult season. And he blew a 4-shot lead on the last 9. Now, I mean, obviously, Scotty.
He was 20 under at one point. 20 under.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, Scotty played great and took it away from him a bit. But Rom could have shot even par or 1 under, and on that 9 coming in, and there wouldn't have been an opportunity there for Scotty. So yeah, it is. It's right there. I'd say it's even worse than Rory's collapse, which took place over 3 holes because Rom was never able to right the ship as it kept slipping away from him over the final 9, which shows you that more things than money cause these guys to choke, prestige and majors, and maybe this event more so than any other because you're playing for your country and it only comes around once every 4 years. So if you do crumble like a dry cookie coming down the stretch, you don't have another opportunity for 4 years to win even a medal. And who knows what state your game will be and who will be on the scene at that point. So yeah, it was an epic choke. We didn't, Lee Trevino didn't blow golf tournaments like that in his prime. Tom Watson and Jack Nicklaus. And if you want to be considered, there's a reason they were considered among the greatest to ever play. And these guys who want to be there just haven't shown quite the same ability to close out golf tournaments.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about Greensboro and the final event of the PGA regular season. It'll be vied for at Sedgefield Country Club, and it is the Wyndham Championship. It's a fantastic event. Obviously it's taken on a little more importance over the years after all that prestige years and years and years ago. It was the GGO, and then it kind of went through a period where it was meh, but it obviously has reached a pretty significant event from the standpoint of its placement on the calendar. So, and the time I went, you've been many times, but the time I went, I thought they do a fantastic job of hosting the event and hospitality and the whole thing. To me, it's really fantastic. So, weather will play a factor for sure. Right now, looks like that they may be able to get off with those 6:50 tee times tomorrow. So, what's the preview of this before we get into some specifics? Because I will also say this, because you've taught me something. There looks to be a lot of value on a lot of guys going into this thing, but it seems like it would be kind of hard to pick. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, this, the weather is always a factor on the PGA Tour, whether it's fog and thunderstorms and just course conditions. They always will do everything they can, barring sending guys out into a hurricane. But, I mean, they're going to try to play golf tomorrow morning, 6:50. They will try to get in as much golf as they possibly can while the course allows it, while the course conditions are fair, while the conditions are not dangerous. And in hopes of playing 72 holes and completing by Sunday. That is always the goal. Now, they do have the opportunity and availability, especially in a tournament of this stature, being the last regular season event, to carry over into Monday to finish 72 holes. And then worst case scenario, they've got to finish 54 one way or another, which even then could go into Monday, but that would be a horrible scenario where you're talking about a couple of days of just complete rain out. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to play some golf in the rain. I think they're going to have some interruptions, but I kind of feel confident in a strange way that they're going to finish 72 by Sunday. Once they get the field cut to 36, even if that happens sometime midday Saturday, they have a lot of ability to play a lot of golf, still have a tremendous amount of daylight this time of year. And it seems like this storm, not to put on my meteorology hat, has maybe lost a little bit of its firepower as it interacted with some dry air, and maybe the rain totals will be a little less than were initially predicted. So, I think they'll be crowning a champion up there at the Wyndham on Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening.
What is on the line here? Who do we need to keep an eye on other than obviously who's at the top?
Yeah, this is the last event of the regular season. Of course, they adjusted the cutoff number a couple of years ago. Top 70 will qualify for the FedEx St. Jude Championship in chilly Memphis next week. And so guys are fighting to get in. ultimately they want to finish this season in the top 50 because that puts them in all the signature events, but you have to get in the top 70 before you can get in the top 50. So we're looking at guys like last year's champion Lucas Glover, PGA Tour winner Lee Hodges, Luke List, Davis Riley, who won earlier this year and won the team event. Brendan Todd from Raleigh is right there on the bubble. Nick Dunlap, who has won twice, but was an amateur, so he didn't receive points for his first win. He's somewhat on the bubble. Jordan Spieth is probably safe, but obviously a disappointing year for him there in the 62nd going into the event, trying to, those guys they're trying to improve their position as well and get inside the top 50, top 40, so that they have a little bit less pressure on their back next week, where they can hold on to their position. And then obviously the top 30 will play in 3 weeks in Atlanta at East Lake. So everybody here is got something to play for. There's even some guys trying to get in the top 125. While that will not get them in the playoffs, that will assure them of some status going forward this fall and an opportunity to play in these big money events. So this tournament has taken on, a lot of the top guys don't have to play it. They're going to rest up. They've been in the Olympics. They've been overseas. They're resting up for the playoffs. But a lot of the guys kind of in the middle are really, this is an important event for them to improve their standing and really be able to set their schedule with the best events next year.
We got Brian Mull with us. Brian, golf writer and a little bit of an odds maker when it comes to laying some wagers on golf here, and he's been doing pretty well here lately. The Wyndham doesn't seem to lend itself to confident betting. Am I wrong, or just don't go crazy this week? What do you got?
I wouldn't go crazy this week. It is a fairly predictive course based on, compared to the other courses on tour, and that the same kind of guys, the same guys and the same profile of player pops up here every year. Basically, you don't have to hit your driver a lot at Sedgefield. Some guys will only hit it 4 or 5 times. It's more about getting the ball into the fairway out of the rough, which will be even nastier if it's wet. So playing from the fairway, hitting your irons close and making putts, which, isn't that kind of the recipe every week? Yeah, but a lot of guys will be hitting irons from the same places. So basically you want to just, pick 2 or 3 of the better iron players and figure out who do you think is going to putt the best on some fast Bermuda greens. That's been the profile. You don't have to be overly long. It is nice if you can birdie the par 5s. There's only 2 on this golf course, so you need to take advantage of those. But it's a lot of wedges, a lot of birdie looks, and then, predicting putting can be a bit challenging. But we have come up with a short list of guys that we think offer some value either to win or in the placement markets, and be happy to go into that.
Yeah, fire away. The floor is yours.
I like Billy Horschel. You're buying him at his highest price, top of his market, but Billy Horschel has just had a different gear to his game ever since he went down to Puerto Rico and won back in the spring. Certainly, we saw what he did at Troon a couple of weeks ago, and he has played well, won here at Sedgefield before, and I just feel like if his game is obviously firing, and he's someone who internally you can count on not to fold if he has an opportunity to win. Kind of cut out of that same cloth, but his record's not quite as good at Sedgefield, but I know it would mean a lot to him, is Brian Harmon, the lefty, last year's Open champion. He's had a solid year, but it seems like there's been one aspect of his game each week that's kind of held him back from having the high finishes that he wants. So maybe he could put it all together this week. I think Steven Yeager is grossly underpriced. He has finished top 15 here the last 2 years. He's an incredible iron player, very accurate driver. He's won earlier this year. He's the only guy to hold off Scheffler down the stretch of the golf tournament, beating him by a shot in Houston. And I think, certainly in the top 10 market, or maybe a little win sprinkle, it would be a good play there. And then my final, going even a little deeper, is Ben Griffin, North Carolina kid, top 5 here a couple of years ago. Just always seems to be around the top 20, top 10 on these shorter placement position golf courses. Grew up on Bermuda greens, very comfortable putting them. And, he's in a situation as well where, he's 60th on the FedEx Cup. So he doesn't really have pressure, but he's certainly got some motivation to have a good week and get himself comfortably inside that top 50 going into Memphis.
Hey, Brian, great stuff. Really appreciate it. Good things there, and we will catch up with you next week as the playoff starts and start to take a look at that, and we'll see how it plays out. I do want to talk to you when time allows, and this may be even after the playoff or near the end of just we had this conversation how to fix this whole mess in golf right now. So we'll discuss. I think the Olympics lends itself to some ideas.
Yeah,
it's just me, So I think that seems to be the. By the way, I was impressed with the crowds at the Olympics for golf. I mean, it looked like crowds you would see at a major. So I mean, that was. I don't know what I was anticipating, but boy, crowds were great. They were engaged. And like I said, fabulous finish there. So, all right, Brian, thanks so much to catch up with you.
Thanks, Patrick. Be good, everybody. Enjoy the golf. Have a great weekend.
Let us now go to Philip the Ref Pilkington for the very latest with a sports update and Pirate Report. Pilk?
Have you noticed he's in his own little happy hour? We're back to the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
This is the Happy Hour program.
Here's the P-Man.
AEW and Dynamite and Rampage here in North Carolina again at the Joel Coliseum. And we're happy to welcome at this time one of the great superstars from AEW. It's Kris Statlander, a one-time TBS champ. And she joins us here on the Patrick Johnson Show. Kris, great to talk to you. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's awesome for you to be with us. We've talked to a lot of different AEW performers over the Tony Schiavone. Not he's a performer, but Tony's the guy. We've talked to really all of them, and so we're honored to have you on with us right now here on the program. AEW. On TBS, it's Dynamite. That'll be taking place on Wednesday, and also the Rampage tapings will be taking place. Then later in the month, it is the pay-per-view All-In back at Wembley Stadium after setting a record for wrestling attendance, a true record of tickets sold last year. Kris Statlander joining us here. So, I think I told you this before. Fair warning, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just reading from the headlines here. This is according to the esteemed website, comicbook.com, and if it's on that website, they're telling the truth. It reads, AEW's Kris Statlander cheats to get CMLL World Women's Championship opportunity. So, again, don't shoot the messenger. We're glad to have you on the show, but, I mean, that's what the headlines are out there saying right now on the World Wide Web.
Yeah, well, some may say cheat. I say I took proper measures to do the job that I needed to do. So,
well, was it really you cheating or was it Stokely Hathaway cheating?
Well, once again, I didn't cheat. There was no cheating. I did what I had to do. It's maybe there was a bit of good team effort, I'd say. But
yeah. What is
the only thing that matters is me winning. So.
Well, that is true. Now, what is the connection with you and Stokely Hathaway?
I mean, he's helped me discover this whole other side of me that I didn't know I had the potential to be. And, he's helped me out a lot to come out of my shell in a way that I wasn't necessarily planning to, but kind of had to. And he gave me the push that I needed to. So I think it's been very beneficial, I'd say.
Willow Nightingale is the current CMLL champion, and you and Willow have quite a history together. Do you feel like this is an opponent that you know so well that gives you the advantage, whether you cheat or not, to win the championship? Or does the flip side of that, does she maybe know you very well?
I mean, I think we both know each other very well, but while she continues to remain the same person that she was, I've started to take on some new characteristics, I'd say, and learn new things for myself and have new secrets and tricks in my back pocket.
Is
So
she
I
too
might have the
happy?
upper hand.
Is she too happy? Is that her problem? Is Willow just too happy? Smile too much?
I don't know if there's wrong with being too happy, but
Okay.
maybe trusting.
Ah, okay. So
Mhm.
a former colleague of yours, stablemate of yours, Trent Beretta, kind of had a little bit of a turn. He sort of embraced a new side of his demeanor, and you seem to be
Yes.
critical of it. Doesn't that make you a little bit of a hypocrite, Kris Statlander?
I mean, I was critical of it when I didn't understand what made him do that, but things are different now. So I don't like I'm on his side.
We got Kris Statlander here with us. Last year, there was a record set at Wembley Stadium, the most tickets sold for a wrestling event. Tell me a little bit about that. And I guess it's going to be determined whether or not you'll be on the card this year. But tell me a little bit about just the excitement of that event last year, All In Wembley. And this year stands to be another big record crowd.
Yeah, I mean, it was a groundbreaking thing for not just AEW, but for wrestling as a whole. And, you know, it takes a lot of courage to even attempt to pull something like that off. So the fact that we were going for it again the second year in a row, you know, it just motivates you to want to continue to exceed expectations, live up to the hype, and just keep saying that wrestling is like a mainstay thing. You know, we want wrestling to be mainstream, popular, and whatnot, and all of us just want to succeed. So I think that's hopefully the motivation behind everything that everyone does.
So the match with Willow, has that been set yet? The championship match, could it be in Wembley? Tell me if it's been set. Forgive me for overlooking that, but where do you think this will go down?
It's not been set yet.
So Wembley seems like a logical place for this to happen, right?
Yeah, I mean, it could be. You know, it's like ultimately I have the challenge and I can do whatever I want. She's also the champion, so she can choose to accept and to give it whatever sort of situation she wants it to have. There's a lot of factors that go into booking a match, and just the wrestlers involved are just such a small part of it. So really, it can be anytime, anywhere, any place is how I can put it.
Wouldn't you rather, though, be at Wembley than just, again, nothing wrong with a Dynamite show or a Collision show or anything like that, but I mean, Wembley seems like it's the big stage, and that's why I asked you a little bit about that. It would seem, I mean, if you had your druthers, wouldn't you rather have it go down in Wembley in front of that big crowd?
I mean, I generally want what's going to be best for me. The big stage at Wembley is great, but another way to think of it is I got the upper hand on her literally last week, so why wouldn't I maybe just want to go for that this week? Why don't I want to win that title as soon as possible?
Well, I understand. I just would think you would want to be able to hand her a bitter defeat and claim this championship, you know, on the big stage.
I can do that anywhere, you know?
Okay. Well, maybe, and then you could go into Wembley as the champion potentially. So there you go.
Exactly.
That's a great way to look at it.
There's a lot of different opportunities. You can't just set expectations to one thing only. Anything can happen.
Kris Statlander is only the 5th person ever in AEW to win an eliminator match, and she did that, and she's earned her championship shot against Willow Nightingale coming up for the CMLL championship, which I don't think she's defended yet. That's the other thing. There's a potential that this would be her first title defense. Boy, that would be something to lose it in your first title defense. So there you go.
Kick her while she's down.
You and Willow are both from New York.
Correct.
Did you all get started around the same time? Was there a history prior to AEW?
I think she started a little bit before me, a few years before me. We also did not train at the same school together. We trained at different wrestling schools Long Island. She trained at NYWC. I trained at Creative Pro. And we did cross paths a bunch on the independent scenes, but never as much as we have now.
Gotcha. What made you get started in wrestling? What was the reason you wanted to pursue that? I mean, you've worked in some other vocations that are pretty physical, but what made you decide that, wrestling was the way to go?
Well, like you said, I had done some other stuff. I had started training in stunt work, and that kind of opened the door to the idea of wrestling being an opportunity for me. Then I started doing ringside stuff. I was a valet, a manager, and watching the physicality in the ring. I was like, I think I can do that. And it wasn't really like I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I kind of looked at wrestling as a fun thing. So I just started doing it, and I wanted to be the best that I could at it, and just see where that took me. It wasn't necessarily the dream of mine to be a wrestler, but
right.
But when you get as good as you get, sometimes it just works out that way.
Never too late to get started, right? Especially if you have a knack for it, like you seem to do. Kris Statlander from AEW is with us. Dynamite Wednesday night at Winston-Salem's Joel Coliseum, TBS at 8 o'clock, and, of course, later on in the month, the All-In pay-per-view from Wembley Stadium in the UK. So, growing up, I presume you were an athlete growing up?
Yes, I was a gymnast.
Oh, wow, really? So,
yes.
What was your specialty?
I did everything. I didn't really have a specialty. I wasn't anywhere near close to like Olympic level stuff.
Simone Biles, you were not.
I was not that good.
Yeah.
But I worked hard at everything, and anytime I competed, I would compete on every event.
Yeah. Did you, what made you get into stunt work?
I just kind of was in like a weird period where I wasn't loving what I was doing, and I thought to myself, what is my dream job? And stunt work, being a stunt double, sounded like the dream job to me. So I looked up how to do it, and then I found a way to do it.
Did you find a YouTube video? That's what everybody does now. You go and you find a YouTube video how to do something. Was that it?
No, I looked up to see if there was such a thing as like stunt double training schools, and I actually found one in Brooklyn, and that's where I went, and I went to legit training school for it.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. That's also very. I mean, you can get really badly hurt in that in different ways
Stunts
than you can in the ring.
Stunts are way safer than wrestling.
Oh, okay, all right. Because I watched something a couple years ago, and they stunts. People talked about just years and years and years of that had worn on them and that kind of thing, Well,
any physical job is going to, have a long-lasting effect on the body. But a whole idea of stunts is to do things that look dangerous safely.
Right,
and
yeah.
to do them in the safest way possible. Wrestling, you're fighting.
Yeah.
You're hurting each other for fun.
And I mean, we had a guy on. They've got a movie that's premiering Thursday night on the PBS channel about wrestling at the Dorton Arena, and he wrestled for a while, and he said, "All those slams, they hurt."
Nothing wrestling feels good.
Yeah, you have also fought back through some injuries and have done so, and so that's why I kind of was wondering, what your athletic endeavors were when you were younger, because. So many athletes have to overcome adversity and that sort of thing. You've had a couple of knee injuries, and was there ever a point you kind of were you able to just kind of hone in? Was there a feeling sorry for yourself kind of period? How was that process of, the acceptance of it and the recovery and the rehab?
I mean, you pretty much like laid it out how it is, where it's like you have to the injury happens. And then you kind of grieve at that moment because you have all these negative thoughts going through your head of, is this the end of it? Am I really injured? How bad is this going to be? How long am I going to be off? Am I going to get replaced at work? Are the fans going to forget about me? am I even gonna have a spot when I get back? Is wrestling even worth it at this point? And those kind of thoughts never really leave your head until you're back in the mix and you're cleared and you return from injury and you're back and performing again. It's really hard to not let those negative thoughts get to you, because it's a daily thing where it's like, my body is my job and I can't do that. So you feel like you kind of let everybody down, and injuries happen. They're most of the time no one's fault. They just happen, and it's so hard to accept that. And hopefully anyone that's going through an injury now, or anyone that does have to go, or that ends up going through an injury at some point, I just hope that any of those negative thoughts that they feel, they are able to turn that into motivation to push through and come back bigger and stronger and better than ever, because I know exactly what it's like, and I hated so much having to go through that, and I will always be there for anyone that needs to reach out because they're dealing with an injury of their own, because I know how mentally taxing it is.
Kris Statlander, really nice to speak to you. I didn't really want to get into the whole thing with, the chain, and then you attack the opponent after you beat them, and then you knock away the security guards, because you're very tough, and I didn't want to get on the wrong side of you. So I hope I've stayed. But see, I think what that was, heat of the moment. You were amped up. The adrenaline was pumping. You didn't know what you were doing. You just kind of were going with the moment there because you're such a competitor. That's the story I'm going to lay out, at least.
That's what we're going to go with. I just, the adrenaline just got to me.
Yeah.
Patrick, first you call her a cheater, and now you're bringing up her beating people with a chain. Come on, you are not. Good thing you're not going to the show Wednesday.
I'd be in
I
real
think
trouble.
this could get ugly.
Yeah,
I feel like you're kind of asking for some controversy right now.
Well, controversy sells even here on sports radio, so that's kind of how that goes. But I think it's been a very civil discord so far, and I want to end it on a civil note. And so I'll wish you the best of luck. My vote is you challenge at Wembley, because it's the big stage, and it's a big stage opportunity. But you're going to do what's best for you. Totally get it. If that's Dynamite, so be it. If it's Rampage, so be it. If it's Collision, so be it. But I'm just saying, man, what a stage to be at Wembley Stadium on the banking holiday in England, and have your hand raised in victory. I think that'd be super cool.
I don't disagree with you.
Okay. If that happens, I want you to think it was Patrick on his own show who said, this is the way I ought to go. And just give me a little salute. You will not?
No.
All right.
Calling me names all the time.
No, I'm playing devil's advocate. That's all, Kris. I'm playing devil's advocate.
See, now I'm back on your word. This is why I can't salute you.
Okay. All right. Well, I may be pulling for Willow when you take her on. I'm just saying. Kris.
Yep. Easy option. Go for it.
All right. Kris Statlander, AEW, thank you so much. Continued success. Good luck in the championship match.
Thank you.
Kris Statlander with us from AEW. Don't forget, AEW Dynamite tonight on TBS at 8 o'clock. I thought she would at least give me, because it's my idea. If she goes to Wembley, you would think that she would give me the credit for it. No.
She's a heel. They're not giving anybody else any credit. If she was a face, maybe.
Well, it was good to have her on nonetheless. Thanks to our friends at AEW. Thanks to Brian Mull for being on also. Check our social media. We'll update you on any breaking sports news from the overnight, but we'll also update you on the goings-on with the Little League Softball World Series and its schedule. So check us out on socials, X and Facebook for the latest. Thanks again to Brian Mull. Thanks to Kris Statlander. Thanks, as always, to Philip the Ref Pilkington. We'll return tomorrow in the morning on Talk of the Town with the Big Hen, and then back here for the Patrick Johnson Show at 5 o'clock. Cole Barnhill from ECU Athletics will be with us tomorrow. He's got a new book out that you can pre-order. I'll tell you about that and a lot more. So stay with us here. Stay safe out there tonight, everybody, and we'll catch you tomorrow. TOT in the morning, PJ Show in the afternoon.